That's kind of what, you know what I mean?
That's so much evidence of Ant and how he's gotten better. You had a good point after the finals, Brew, about why the Thunder were going to repeat. You're like, everyone is so young, they're all going to get better. SGA is going to get better.
All of them.
So he is so young. If you view him as a high school senior, ready to play in the NBA, Dusty pulled the video of him against LeBron and Team USA. He looked like he belonged there. Granted, it's just a scrimmage and everybody's in, pennies. But still, he looked like he belonged. If he's a senior in high school, at that point he would have been a junior in high school. Again, I'm doing the math.
He was 17. He was 17 when
17, playing against the best that we had, the gold medal team, and he looked confident. He was, balling out, or at least.
There's been a lot of this scrimmage has really, made people very high on. And I get it. He did play well. I saw some of it. But it's one game. And we all remember the Dream Team getting beaten by a bunch of college players. Yeah. Chris Webber knows guys.
Chris Webber was good,
Bobby Hurley and stuff.
Chris Webber was good, and Chris Webber was a number one pick.
Just showing you, it was, you know what I mean? Anything can happen.
And this is why I there's two reasons, then we move on to the other piece of this, that I am kind of, you guys joke about me being like a Wemby skeptic or whatever. One was flatly the guys who are 7'5" and above, I get worried about injury risk. Right. So there was that. But the other one was, I just felt like the comps were setting him up. I'll take the under. If the comp is GOAT, I'll take the under. You know what I mean? Sure. On those things. And I feel similarly. Chris Webber just got thrown out there. If this guy ends up having Chris Webber's career, given how he's,
it'll be a disappointment.
It would be a
and that's no slight to Webber.
Correct. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
The way he's right.
There's no slight
the
to
way he's being discussed. If he ends up being Chris Webber, then it's like, what happened? And I feel like that's so that is typically wildly unfair. Okay. You know what I mean? And we always do that with the draft. You read these draft profiles, and there's a guy that's going to go 18th, and they're compares favorably to Chris Middleton. And I'm like, well, then he shouldn't go 18th in the draft. Yeah. If you're like, oh, he's going to be a multi-time All-Star and second-best player and a champion, then I don't think he's the 18th pick. So it just feels
that's fair.
Like a lot.
It's going to really be interesting.
Yeah. LeBron weighed in on Cooper Flagg, who he played in the Olympic scrimmages. In the latest episode of Mind the Game, James says, Cooper is at a distinct advantage because he's on the Mavs with AD, Kyrie, and Clay. Take a listen.
Can play with the ball, can play without the ball. His jump shot is going to continue to get better. Super athletic, quick second jump. And also, he has the benefit, unlike myself, he gets to join a team that's established.
Right.
With Hall of Fame guys, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, right off the bat, Hall of Fame coach Jason Kidd. These guys are they can give him the whole blueprint while he continues to learn.
Okay, reaction.
Well, there's only been a handful of guys who have walked into the situation LeBron's talking about, and it's worked out pretty great for all of them. Now, it's not apples to apples, but number one pick in 1979 is Magic Johnson. The Lakers already have Kareem. They win the championship. Right, who was it? They win the championship. Then, oddly, in 1981, the number one pick of the draft was James Worthy to the Los Angeles Lakers, and they win the championship, and it works out quite well. Next year, or a couple years later, Akeem was the number one pick. Now, that wasn't a ready-made team, but it did have another Hall of Famer, a young Hall of Famer already there, in Ralph Sampson. 2 years later, they were in the finals. In the 90s, the Magic got Shaq and then got the number one pick, Chris Webber. They traded the pick for Penny, and 2 years later, they were in the finals, and Duncan goes to the Spurs, and in year two, they're in the finals. Now, I do not think Anthony Davis at this point of his career and Kyrie coming off a knee is equivalent to, Kareem, at that point, or young Shaq in those situations. But there's not any of those instances where maybe I guess some would argue Penny didn't love it. You know what I mean? That Penny didn't get to be the show because of Shaq, but Penny's career is more about injuries than otherwise.
Yeah,
I think it's a net huge positive to go there where there's going to be playing meaningful games and they actually want to win rather than, oh, go win 15 games, we'll figure it out in the next couple years.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And look, if he had gone to, say, Charlotte or Washington, those are losing cultures.
Correct.
And you are in that culture. And LaMelo, I like LaMelo, probably not as much as you.
Definitely
but
not as
he
much
is
as
a
well.
fantastic talent. But I think if he went to Charlotte, I don't think LaMelo's thinking he's the best player. LaMelo still thinks he's the best player on the team.
Like Darius Miles when LeBron got to Cleveland. He's here to help us.
Yes. I mean, no doubt. And Ricky Davis definitely was thinking he was better than LeBron. He was out of there in short order, right? And so you've got guys that think they're better than you. You got guys that aren't necessarily looking to help you become a great player. And so I think in Washington would have been the same thing with Jordan Poole and those guys. I know he's gone now. But this situation, he kind of has the best of both worlds. And I alluded to it earlier.
Yes, this is
Yes, he's got talent around him in AD. And, the role players, Gafford and Clay, PJ Watt, they got some good role players around him. And if Kyrie were there, and I wish Kyrie were there. Nobody wants to see him hurt. But Rush, or I keep calling him Cooper Rush. Yeah. Flagg would have to grow as, he would be the third player. Right behind Kyrie and AD.
Now he's the primary ball handler.
Right. He's going to handle the ball. He's the number 2 guy. And so he will, by the time Kyrie gets back, he will have developed and gotten really comfortable. And if he really comes out the gate playing well, then Kyrie may stay off the ball to a large degree and he could run things. We'll see. But I just think, look, you go to a culture where they're about winning. Like LeBron said, Jason Kidd, you got all these champions and Hall of Famers around you. And I think it's always great to go in there and play winning basketball right away. So you don't pick up bad habits. That's the thing. You go to a Charlotte or Washington, you are picking up bad habits because of the culture that they have. So I do think this is best. We've seen, look, ultimately, if he's as great as some people think he will be, it really won't matter. Because you mentioned the guys, and Magic, that was perfect for Magic because he was a passer. But LeBron lifted Cleveland to contender status. Jordan went to Chicago, turns them into a champion. We've seen other people turn, go somewhere and turn Steph goes to Golden State, turns them into a dynasty eventually. So if you're that guy, I really don't think, football, we hear it a lot with quarterbacks. Oh, it depends on where you are. If you're that good, he's going to turn a franchise around if he's that good. In this case, he doesn't have to turn it around.
I think that part's important because you're right, Jordan did it eventually. If Jordan had been drafted by, a different team, the Rockets, who had the pick, right? They take Hakeem. Maybe the first 3 years of his career, they're already contending.
Yep.
The LeBron got them as far as he could get them. But if he was, if it was somewhere, remember Memphis could have gotten the pick with Jerry West and they end up losing it. Maybe that's totally different.
Right.
Anthony Davis is top 75 guy, great player. He lifted it New Orleans as high as he could. So there's some things
White
are,
with Orlando.
And hell, Shaq with Orlando.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If
you're that guy, you'll do it.
You'll do it, but you
could do it quicker.
Yeah, do it quicker is the thing.
Denver Nuggets owner Josh Kroenke was talking about the second apron. Always a good topic. And contemplated something he never wanted to contemplate, trading Jokic. Take a listen.
For us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trading number 15.
Yikes. He said he doesn't
never say that, okay? You never say that. And in the same press conference, he did say, I'm going to offer Jokic, who's got 3 years left on his deal, but he's eligible for an extension. He's going to offer him the extension. If Jokic rejects it, then we got a story. I think this was just I don't want to say a slip of the tongue. It was just a bad answer because there's no way he's thinking about trading Jokic.
But it wasn't really an answer. Like, the question had nothing to do with trading Jokic. He just volunteered it.
So do you think there's something to that? I think there's nothing to this whatsoever.
Well, so here,
unless it upsets Jokic.
Right. I want to also be fair because he said we're going to offer him the extension, and he said, he's like, listen, he might not accept it because it might financially make more sense for him to wait a year. Right. And so he's like, we're going to show him both things. So I don't even think it's necessarily a big warning sign if he doesn't, if he doesn't sign the extension as early because he wants more money later. I think that this is nothing when it comes to the Nuggets' plans for Jokic in the future, and massively something when it comes to the Nuggets doing damage control with Joker. Because if I'm Joker, I need to hear from them. Hold on, real quick, just so I understand. Are you saying, like, there are scenarios where I want to be here and be a Nugget forever, but you guys think because of contracts and finances, the best thing for the franchise is to trade me? Because that's not what I thought the deal here was.
Well, I never want to contemplate it.
Right. You know what I mean?
There's a scenario where I would have to.
Yeah, and so, because that you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, the answer is like, we're never trading Jokic.
We're never trading Joker no matter what. Where he's going to have a statue here. There is like
Yeah, you wouldn't even want to say that.
Don't even bring him up.
We're not trading.
Right, because that would have been a story too. Before you asked, we're not trading Jokic.
It's hard to do it on the fly.
Right, but which is why you just don't all of a sudden offer it up. Like, you could have just been like, which brings us to, things we never want to have to contemplate. And then he paused and he's like, if you didn't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about trading Nikola Jokic.
We would never want to have to move the franchise.
Word is he flew over to Serbia.
He better He better buy him a new horse.
To his credit, so many guys. Nope. Skinny Luca next on FS1, the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM. No, Dusty said no. Just a strong no. I'm going to say one more thing. Not happening.
Don't worry, we'll be back.
I can't believe they're leaving.